looks like. So I call this Elsa's machine, but what I did was I refined all these prompts. I have different types of lead gens. I got my own VPS, so that's like my own server on GoDaddy, because I'm finally really clear on what to focus on, and I have enough data to test. Like, it's beyond A/B testing. It's like a lot of tests that will run at once to see what kinds of domains are really going to benefit. And I've been really mooching off of this guy right here, the affiliate marketing dude. He has a lot of great content on what to put in your blogs. And then of course I also use everything I learned from Digital CEO on how to get sites to rank. So I'm going for reach, distribution, affiliate marketing, and lead generation, because after I interviewed some of my friends that are business owners, they all said the same thing. Like, they don't want more websites, they don't want to pay for more marketing, but if I call them and tell them I have these leads for you, that they will pay for. So this is just one of the landing pages that I have, because I needed to consolidate everything when I call these different companies, and I want to know, like, do you want leads or not, right? That's a very rude way of asking. So I made one site, aisearchpro.info. This is for companies that want to start ranking on AI search engines, right? So I can start collecting their information here. I haven't set all this up, but I just needed to make sure that it existed. So here is my VPS. I haven't put any of my websites in here. I need to transfer them. I have them all as it stands. Not there, that's my local. As it stands, I have them all over here inside of my current shared server. So how do I get back to my product? So just so you can see how many domains I have, because I think a lot of times people are like, yeah, right. So here oops, that's not what we want to show people. So you can't see my pin anyway, my products. Right, let me show you all the domains I have right now. So let's just say DNS, because you can actually see all the domains. I still actually have to build automation to transfer all of these. So I already did run this script right here. And let's see, a lot of the domains did transfer over. Was it here? Oh, it might not be here. Oh, okay. So here we can see, like, all these I've been able to transfer over to my new server. And I'm not worried about cybercrime on my server, because it's always HTML. So if it gets infested, I just nuke the whole thing, right, and reinstall it. And I have, like, plenty of copies of all this HTML. That's why I went with HTML versus a lot of the other ones. It's because it's really lean and it's easier for me to just, like, copy and redo. But here are at least 200 of the domains. So what I need to do is make sure that this is a 20. Yeah. So see, like, some of these are already valuable enough without me having to do anything. So of course those will get renewed, but I also want to make sure that the ones that are not creating any profit, that those don't get renewed. So for example, I'm not going to pay $16.99 for something that's made me $0, right? So and I have not pushed anything into any of these because I was really busy with other stuff. But now that I'm really clear on all the strategies, which would be hard for me to list one at a time, but now that I'm really clear on all the strategies on what could make a site start to get traffic and what might work in AI search engines better than other things, now I am ready to push all this code over. Plus, I wasn't sure how this all was gonna pan out, and if tomorrow GPT-5 is released and it does everything I've done, well then, then I would maybe not start over, but I would definitely pivot the strategy. Although I think this is a solid strategy, I do check lots of places to make sure that, TCP/IP is going to stay the same, HTML is going to stay the same, CSS, but things like WordPress, I think, are going to evolve. And that is why I was excited about the video with the affiliate marketing dude, because here he's talking about a new type of plugins that are different from the WordPress plugins, and I completely agree with this. And this is going to be doing more with Facebook. I'm not a fan of going on Facebook because it sucks me in quite easily, since it's all the people I grew up with and just old friends, and it's hard to not want to read all their stuff. But I think he makes a very good point here, so I'm going to basically, I guess, like follow his lead. Because honestly, once the automation is built, this all just runs itself. That's why it's called Elsa's machine. So to get back to the point of why all these domains, so I had to make sure that I refined my prompts well enough, and you'll see them in a second. Not the prompts, because the prompts, like it would be silly of me to say that these prompts are going to work for everyone everywhere. I don't believe in selling you prompts. I believe in you can write your own prompts. um, and if people want them, ask me for them, and I'll publish them, and you can buy them for like $2 or something. But they're going to continue to evolve as the AI and soon to be AGI, or actually, according to Affiliate Marketing Dude, like he's describing what this is doing as AGI. I think it's close also. But as a software developer or engineer, I don't see that much difference between combining AI with automation to get closer to AGI, as long as you have enough API calls and you're able to run through your operating system. And I know that I realize that I jump from topic to topic, but trust me, this is probably why there's not as much information on the web with people what do you call it? Metacognitively describing what they're doing as they're doing software stuff, especially automation, because it's really convoluted. And if you can imagine all the gears on a clock, right? So let's look for an image. Gears on a clock. Gears on a clock. When you're writing automation, let's look for. I wonder if it'll. Oh, I guess that did. So see how there's all these complicated gears. Okay, well that's how your brain has to work when you're developing like highly automated systems. So I can't describe it like one piece at a time, because it doesn't even make sense in my head that way. And the reason why it seems like I jump around is because if, like, let's take for example this one, right? So as these two are touching, like I have to think about these two things, but I also have to think about like this thing that's turning it. So I do get plenty of comments that say like, oh, what are you on crack? Like, what are you taking? It's the stimulant's too strong, or what else? Like you jump around too much, I can't follow. Well, the fact is that you probably won't be able to follow. The fact is that I have been told by people that actually come over and watch me work that they don't even understand how I'm ingesting all this information at once. We're not all born the same. I'll go back to my example of our dear friend Michael Jordan. Right? She's not I wish she was my friend. Right? Like I can pay Michael Jordan $2 million to teach me how to dunk, but am I still really gonna be able to dunk like at that basket, being a 5'5" Hispanic female that's in pretty good shape, but even at the top of my game, was I really gonna be able to dunk no matter how much I insisted Michael Jordan tell me how to dunk and show me and teach me and take me by the hand and help me dunk? Probably not, right? So I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm just saying, like, pick up what you can. The other stuff, take this for what it's worth. I'm not trying to turn this into a promotional video, but yes, I would rather work with people that don't need to know all the details, but want the benefits of what I'm doing, right? So this is really cheap. So remember, I don't know, do you know this lady, Cochran, what's her name, like from the Shark Tank, the Shark Tank lady, her, right? Remember how she's many times mentioned, like she became very wealthy. Ooh, look at this shirt. Okay, that is ADD, but that shirt is lovely. Okay, she became very wealthy when she realized that the internet became a thing, and then she was one of the first on the block to like start posting houses on the internet, right? Well, that is what I think AI search is right now. I don't know. Oh, Corcoran is her last name. I don't know if other SEO strategists feel this way. I honestly don't give a flying beep, because I don't know other people that have as many layers in the grand scheme of all this stuff as I do. I think like the perplexity people way blow me out of the water, right? People that Google way blow me out of the water. All of them do. But what I do know is that I do understand local businesses better, I think, than a lot of these big wigs, So I think that this is the hidden market that I'm tackling, and it's only hidden because people don't want to do the hard work. So even as I get my sales coaching, right, and I'm like, no, I want to target lawyers and I want to target doctors. Let's start with lawyers. um, it is one of the hardest ones to break into. Doctor is one of the other hard ones to break into because they're so, let's be real, arrogant. Like they don't think that anybody has anything to teach them. But I know because I dated some, and because like as an engineer, I also became more arrogant, with good reason. Like they're arrogant for a reason, right? You can't just chit chat with everyone when you got like seriously serious stuff to deal with. But the missing, I think, what would be the word? The missing convenience for them is understanding how to do marketing in a way that makes sense to them, or being able to offload marketing. A lot of the really wealthy firms have plenty of money for marketing, but honestly, I think more and more people are catching on to that. Just because a company says that they're AI powered, it doesn't mean they're AI powered. Just because a company says that they have SEO, it doesn't mean they're really going to get you more clients through the door. Just because someone says that they're going to post on LinkedIn for you 10 times a day doesn't mean that they're really doing anything for you to make money in the end, right? Like you have to have provable metrics, and that is the gap that I'm filling. And the reason why I am approaching the lawyer market and the doctor market first is because just like if you're doing your let's see, if you're doing your pre-calculus homework, looks like this, right? Pre-calculus homework. So it looks like this, right? You have let's see what looks like a typical set of problems in pre-calculus. Here we go, right? If you're able to do so I had a teacher that told me that I was like near genius, and I was like, wait, what do you mean near? Like what part is not genius? And I don't know that I want to be genius level, because then you're like you're a narrow-minded fool, or I don't remember what the words are, like a narrow fool or something. But see, matrices, interesting. So I didn't know matrices were pre-calculus. In college they called this linear algebra. But I guess it's because of that little shape right there. Okay, so I'm not gonna continue trying to find pre-calculus homework. Been there, done that. Maybe this one, right? So like if you can do this problem, like problem number 8 first, then all these other problems are trivial, right? So that is why I am a hedonist, not a hedonist. That's why I'm a masochist. When I am trying to make sure that I am able to target the lawyer market first, because if I can effectively communicate to a lawyer the value I'm bringing, then I know that I've like knocked my communication skills out of the park. This video is not meant to prove to you that I have communication skills. I am literally documenting what it's like to develop an AI automation agency without using low code, no code, like literally from scratch, using stuff that I know is going to persist no matter what happens with OpenAI. So like the whole TCP/IP thing, and using hyper targeted marketing, like all of that stuff I think is still going to be really relevant. And I want to get to the point where I offload all of this kinds of stuff, like all these blogs that I'm posting, right? All these blogs, and I will continue to add, because I'm only like side note. So let's make sure that we remember that it's not that I am trying to jump all over the place, or to not have like the ability to have a linear thought. It's that I am now I lost the there's my Z panels and stuff. Now I lost the image of the gear, but you remember, right? Like the gear icon. Is it this one? No, too many windows. What is this called? Like tab overwhelm. Here we go. All right, so remember that we had these gears. So I am having to think about all of this as I'm talking to you, as I'm writing code, making sure that the code works, as I'm watching my dogs. Like I have a lot of stuff in my head. So I would say that it's more like this, like I'm trying to explain to you this. So it's really hard to communicate effectively unless you're someone like this. And post quantum. So this is what I wrote my senior thesis on. I don't even know if there's an image that could show you what this even begins to look like. So unless you're able to understand post quantum crypto and your thesis and the way that it affects the Bitcoin blockchain, and your thesis could blow mine out of the water, like I'm never gonna be the fake Michael Jordan that tells you that I'll teach you how to understand it. It's not. I would be lying to you if I told you that I could get you there. So it's more like this. So like if you can keep up with this in your head, cool. Like ask me directed questions, right? Like real specific questions, and I'll answer them. Or this, right? These look like acyclic graphs and directed graphs put together, maybe. If you don't understand this, you don't even know what cryptography is, right? Which is what I was gonna do in the Navy, but probably the world is better off that I didn't. So I probably would have delighted in that, right? Like if you don't like this is, I mean, obviously this is just an image, but this reading data like this is very easy for me, especially when I have colors. So I feel like I'm always on the defense when I'm making these videos. It's just that I don't think everybody needs to know everything about everything. So if I'm on do I still have my good old Michael Jordan? I love that guy, like, as an idol, you know? I mean, I don't know what kind of human he was to his wife or anything, but, or who he really is as a person, but I'm saying, like, as an avatar, right? Like, as a role model, right? Like, if, if I'm on his team, like, I don't need to play the same position he does. Was he a forward? I don't know. I don't need to play the same position that he plays. I mean, he's always like going for layups down to center, so he's maybe a center. But I don't need to be able to dribble the ball the same way as a point guard if I'm a forward. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of the educational platforms or people that assume that people are on YouTube trying to teach you something, right? They assume that everyone is trying to teach you something. I'm not trying to teach you anything. I'm trying to let you know this is probably like such a big deal, you know, to get to be one of the first people in the AI search engines. No matter which one, doesn't matter which one, they all use the same underlying ways of using JSON, of reading HTML. It all comes back down to zeros and ones in some way, shape, or form. So if you understand that full tech stack from the assembly language all the way to, well, from like literally electricity on or off, like zeros and ones, to assembly language, to compilers and C language and or C language and compilers. I don't remember which layer of the stack, but then to, you know, to Python and Java, to HTML and CSS and how that interacts with TCP/IP, and on through to like Python and JavaScript and server side and what a server looks like. If you understand all of that, right, then let's you and I'll probably learn something from you. But otherwise, like, don't assume that you're gonna be able to pick up all that stuff, because again, like, I could run for 10 miles a day and like do all sorts of things, and maybe I would get to dunk, maybe. But do you really think so? Like, how likely is that, right? What are the odds? So don't spend your time trying to learn this stuff from me, I would say. I'm just saying, like, this is for the folks that need some type of evidence. And this is as much for me to say, like, this is what it looks like when you're able to metacognitively think through a more complicated problem that looks like the gears. I taught kindergarten for 7 years, at elementary school for 9 years total. It's so easy to have metacognitive aloud when you're teaching the alphabet all day, every day. It's 26 letters over and over, no matter how I think about them. But this stuff's like seriously way more complicated, right? So here is what it looks like. There's my Hispano Gonzi. Here is me writing out my scripts. That's my sales marketing. So all these websites eventually look like this one. I keep using this AI art for inmates because it's a good model to pick to show you. So I am basically writing out the stuff that generates the prompt that then generates the consistency across the blog posts, right? So like, right now I'm writing this description. So this description that you're seeing here is what we're looking at on the left hand side. I am doing this algorithmically because I want to, because I think it works, because I think if you're getting crappy responses from AI, it's because you're asking crappy questions. I don't think that it's the AI's fault if you can't formulate your questions. I do also think that the ability to use the code side of stuff is a game changer. I think the fact that I can go and do this myself instead of hire somebody also makes a big difference. Yes, it takes more time, but I also am very certain that the stuff's gonna work the way I expect it to. The more complex stuff, and it also cost me like dirt cheap. So all these websites, they're like $1.50. No, most of them are no more than $2 each. So I test them for 1 year. If they're not performing, then they just get shut down. Like, it's just that black and white, right? Like, I don't have so in the past, when people would buy websites, you had to be so careful with your URL because it made a difference in how findable you were. It made a difference in people remembering who you are, people being able to have some kind of connection to to your domain name. So this is my thesis. It's that because we have search engines like Perplexity, so let's look at Perplexity, right? When I ask Perplexity something, it tells me where it went and got the stuff from. Usually it'll have, see? Like it tells me where it went. So if you're telling me that it's gonna go and find the websites that have the information, well then, hell, I don't need to worry about cute little names for my businesses. I can have 10,000 overly convoluted website names, but if my URL is very specific to the query that Perplexity is trying to answer, then I'm probably going to get picked up if I have enough traffic and domain, what is it, like the domain, not power, authority, topic authority, if I have enough topic authority in my domain, right? So why wouldn't I start buying thousands of URLs at $1 each for 1 year to see what happens if I have all the automation in place to put in to the blogs like sufficiently good content, right? So like if I lost track of it, but in a minute if I find it again, we can look at the one for the art for inmates, but it all starts from the description, right? And this is so another part of the components of the gear, because people have been like, what's your business model? And I'm like, I don't know how to put, like, I don't know, a bunch of gears that all either make money or they don't. And if there is not more money than money in than money out, then that thing gets shut down. I don't know how to put this into words. So I'll probably turn all this that I'm saying right now into I'll put it into an LLM. Hopefully there's some that can read videos soon, and then they can help me kind of dissect this to explain it more thoughtfully. But I'm not looking for VC funding. Like I honestly don't need any partners for this. Like it's already built. Like I don't even want partners, because honestly it's just gonna slow me down and I'll just turn into that same nerd that is like going up a river with a boat no paddle, with like trying to explain shit to people that probably are not equipped. So again, if you're someone that understands post-quantum crypto and has been through the entire tech stack in real life application, like you've actually done production level application of from literally like zeros and ones, because I was in electronics tech in the Navy, so I could very much understand zero and one, electricity, no electricity, through the operating system with assembly. So I did my internship at Seagate for like using assembly and IoT, right? And post-quantum crypto in that stuff, right? And then I've done automation in Python. I've done web development for 20 years. I've worked with businesses. I've worked at startups. I've worked at massive e-commerce before. So if you are someone who is doing that, then yeah, let's you and I learn from each other. Otherwise, right? Just trust me. So the business model, because that was to kind of help explain the business model. Like honestly, there is not much that I can gain, but I do gain a ton from watching videos like, oh, here we are, videos like the one with this like videos like this, because he's basically doing very similar to what I'm doing. He's just talking you through to what he's doing that he has seen worked.
Usage, we can see that.
One thing I've never tried in my whole life up until about, I would say 45 days ago, is I've never really tried to make money in my whole life. I've rarely had to work because I just do things that end up making me money. I guess I just have like that kind of wiring, right? So I've never actually like made a real effort to make a ton of money, but I decided that I'm 46, I'm gonna do that this year. That's where I'm at. And so I'm using all his strategies, all the other strategies from other places that I, like pick up stuff that I know I can just sprinkle into my algorithms anyway. And that's what my business model is. It's just like as it's rolling out. That's why one of my channels is like, or one of the playlists, applying it as it rolls out. Well, Dan, like I can't predict what it's gonna look like, right? I can only do this. So if we look at this is really like least effort content generation. Are you interested in technology, in how technology can breathe new life into prison rehab? Discover how AI is transforming inmate art programs by providing them with new avenues for creativity and self-expression. I did put at the end of all my blog posts now that, this does say like this is an automation effort. So I did start putting in that, or I am trying to make sure that it's clear that these are not necessarily true unless they have a URL that it points to, and then the truth lays in the URL that it points to for some of these. So they're in pilot phases across several facilities. I know that that is a fact. Okay, so the other thing I did was I applied this other technique that people that post trending YouTube videos, I learned from them. So they take like trending topics and they sprinkle it in there. So that week that I wrote this, Simone Biles was preparing for the Olympics. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because the algorithms will make it so that someone who is not overtly looking for me will never run into me. But if I am as clever as I think I am, then I will like make sure that there's an intersection point between myself and someone who never would have ran into me otherwise. So by having this kind of like sprinkled content, right? People that are interested in inmates, right? In inmates and art and AI, and also happen to look up something from the Olympics, will eventually, I will probably end up in their feed eventually, probably. So this is the big test for me, right? Like how viable is this? And I think it works because there's so many YouTube posts that are clearly just writing the coattails of current content. I often get other aspects of this business model. So I guess it's turning into a business model with a lengthy explanation of how it happens in code, but I'm doing this as much for myself to stay focused and grounded and motivated as I am, so that people can know this is what it looks like when you're your one person business AI automation agency with all that, these like piles, this tech stack pile to the sky with skills. Because it's the truth. Like it is the truth. I am inventing this as it unrolls, right? So, whatever. I don't really, like, as far as like intellect, I don't really feel any need to prove myself to anybody. It doesn't as much matter to me, as it probably would other people that have a more fragile ego, I guess, with all that. But the other part of the business model, because what I'm saying is that I hadn't tried to make money till now. Okay, so people continually ask me, oh, can I pick your brain? Oh, can I ask you about this? Oh, what do you think about that? Well, here, people can start emailing here. Like, email, I probably will never read it, because like Cody Sanchez recently posted something she had heard, make yourself easy to find but difficult to reach, because I don't want to hear everybody's ideas. If they were good ideas, right? Like, you would have some business model like what I'm describing right now that already shows your reach and distribution. The reason I started to learn more about SEO was because I wanted reach and distribution for some stuff to do with my dogs and my tree, right? So then that's how all this started to happen for me about a year and a half ago, in April of 2023, which is around the time when ChatGPT really took off. Okay, so or had just started taking off. So I was trying to have like people get paid for sending me leads, but I terminated that because, like, honestly, like, I'm doing better not having to worry about them. So that's what the whole point of creating something that runs itself, like, that's what it's supposed to do, is like leave me out of that conversation, because I have other things that I rather talk about, and it did not prove to be lucrative no matter how much I tried. In the future I might revisit, but right now I don't need to. Here's where I recommend products that are I'm going to continually update and refine. So I do still use Runway ML. I still use Canva. I dropped Adobe Photoshop. I don't really need it, especially now that we have better and better image generation and you can edit whatever pretty easily with other things. Hardware, I definitely do still have this drive. I definitely recommend this or something like it. Since I worked at Seagate and I knew what kind of people they were and like what kind of, I guess, stuff they built, like, I totally trust it. I have it. I use it. Everything downloads to that like at least once an hour. So that's what I'm saying. If I were to lose, if somebody were to infect my my server with bugs or whatever, or if I did something stupid, like, no big deal. Just nuke it and re-upload it from here. And of course, it's not the only place that I keep copies. You can see over here, like, I also have stuff that I run in AWS to keep copies there. And so this is an affiliate marketing link. Of course, I'm going to start adding stuff. I purposefully picked contractors, roofers, swimming pool people, and electricians, because those are high value tickets items, right? High value industries. I have a pool. I know how expensive it is. Of course, I'm going to start having links to things like those. I have desks, and I have like just all sorts of, I guess, opinions. But I know that if I don't really want to sit around and look through what freaking kind of backup should I have, what do I get? Like if somebody who I trust tells me you should get this lacy hard drive, I would stop thinking about it and I would go get the hard drive. Right? Am I getting better at sales or what? So yeah, but even if I wasn't trying to get affiliate marketing links, like get money each time somebody buys something like this, like honestly, like I think you're doing yourself a huge service by backing everything up every day. I learned this from somebody that I used to call Papa Smurf, behind their back at this other startup that I worked at, that recommended like make sure you have Time Machine installed in your system so that no matter what, like you don't have to worry about losing all your stuff. So this is just like common knowledge among nerds, right? Like geeks, I guess. So always be backing up. Okay, so then chatbot. This chatbot is tied to agi.kitchen. Eventually I'm gonna feed it its own content, which is easier and easier to do, especially now that LLMs can ingest so many tokens, right? And now that I have like a better, clearer picture of ingesting, using branching that is closer to AGI, I call it baby AGI. Over here is like so you can't see them. I need to change this. I don't know if it's true that like you get penalized for this, but see, like they're like all of the stuff is in here. I don't know why it keeps coming up that color, but this is some of the stuff that I posted where I do research before I do the thing, and then I keep track of the research. Is this a shitty way to demonstrate this? Yeah, but honestly, like, meh. So then about us. Okay, so so the other, I guess, beauty about this is that I make these changes to these things like this over here in one place, and it changes it across thousands of websites. Well, 200 websites. I'm going to get to the thousands of websites. I'm not worried about that. And then here is like, I change it in one place. They all are using iframes, right? And then here's where I am also like very much recommending, again, like a hardware problem. Oh, I know why. So I need to remove that, or I need to fix that. But once I fix it once, it fixes it in every website. But I'm also still like not totally, sad about it. This like, yep. So I need to fix that, but that's okay. I'm not too like worried about it, There you go. Oh yeah, I did fix this. In fact, that's a big part of what slowed me down a lot, was making sure that these look right. And I also need to change the names, because you can stuff a lot of SEO into the name of the image, and you can stuff SEO into the alt text, right? So there's like all these little details. So how do I even pick what I'm gonna do? Okay, so for example, I have a doctor friend here in El Paso, and I was like, okay, I'll get you more clients through the door. Don't worry about it. I don't even need to know. I don't need to connect to their website. They have an outstanding website. They just need a certain type of clients. I love Botox. Been getting it since I was 29. I recommend it, right? So then instead of just like running out there and buying like a website, right? Like I check to see in El Paso, because that's where I'm at, like what words are people looking for? They're looking literally for the word Botox. So then to bypass the Google voice stuff, so I don't have to worry about that yet. Maybe I will if the site performs and I find someone to sell the leads to, right? Then I buy a domain, something like, what else is performing? Skincare. So like, I would still just buy like El Paso Doctor Botox, or find Botox El Paso, find Botox El Paso. I'm using the dashes. It used to be not recommended, but if you don't use the dashes, you end up kind of stuck in this thing that I'm doing over here, right? So now we're back over here. Now you know a big part of the science behind what I'm doing. It is science. It's not just like guessing, it is a lot of science. Is I am having to go back and parse the site names, right? Which I was going to do anyway. So here I am. This is the human in the loop part. I'm making sure that the way that I've concocted all of these prompts for how to create the descriptions is making sense. So I have 4 categories of prompts. I have like sensationalist blogs that are intended to captivate the reader, but also help them find products easily, right? So like, one's like fix my toilet. So yes, I could make a lead gen for a plumber, but the lessons, the takeaways that I'm getting from, where is he? Is it him? From him? The lessons, the takeaways are that, like, as people read blogs, they're going to, it's gonna be easier to make affiliate marketing money off of blogs that have like how to do stuff versus lead gens. And I can usher traffic to the lead gens to these blogs more easily with like some serious guerrilla style I guess tactics, like including synthetic humans, including, oh well, actually it's that exact same thing right here. So that's what this is, right? So this was one of my first ads to lawyers. We're gonna watch it now just so you can see what hyper targeted marketing looks like. So all of my blogs, I'm calling them all blogs, all of my websites, right? They all will have a level of hyper targeted marketing. And then as I pick up clients, now that this is automated for myself and I have more and more data points, as I pick up clients, then I can show them, like, if you're looking for, you want more criminal defense cases, okay, I'm going to generate you these kinds of videos. Oh, you want to get to work on personal injury cases, well, I'm going to create videos so that audience resonates with it. So let's listen to this real quick.
What exactly is hyper-targeted marketing, and how can you benefit?
Where did I learn this? I learned this at a global e-marketing company where, like, it was kind of cool, because I used to call them like deep fakes, and they're like, no, these are digital. No, these are synthetic humans. They're digital assets. So like digital assets and Web3, I haven't even shown you like some of the 3D stuff that I'm able to make, which most people can make themselves. But just connecting all these things together is, I think, where it's tricky. But that's where I learned about hyper targeted marketing, and that's why I'm saying, like, if you're someone who has actual experience, like in the production level, or in like a real company, or like real e-commerce that's global, then yeah, let's talk. If not, like, I don't want to be like your mommy that handholds you. And honestly, like, AI gives me better ideas and suggestions than anybody else right now. So that is the place we're at. That's where I'm at. I don't mean to be a jerk, but I have got money to make for another, if I've been doing this for 45 days, I have like 315 more days, 320 more days to like make my money.
How is it that AI and automation is supposed to help everyone? Here's an example of hyper-targeted marketing. Here we have what could be called a synthetic human. So we know she's not real, but she's meant to resonate with your client base, resonate with your audience, and
right. So like that synthetic human. So in El Paso, right? TikTok videos can also be geo-fenced. So you can send this kind of video, right, with the lawyer's information to TikTok accounts in near the courthouses. So this looks like a lot of the women around here that have kids. I'm barren, so I mean, I'm not sad that I don't have kids, but like when I see stuff like that, I'm like, oh, thank God, I just have dogs. Right.
Resonate with your audience, and
then the next part of the automation, that's what I use Conzi for in Twilio. So then once somebody shows an interest in your video, then you respond to them like pretty soon in a way that is more personal, more intimate, that shows that you understand who they are because you found them and they found you, right? Like you knew that there's a person there. I know that there are women like this lady
with your is meant to.
I know because I also have EQ, even though I talk about not wanting to hang out with humans. Actually, I just heard it recently too, that actually I heard it from the Everyday Spy guy, Bustamante. He was talking about Andrew Bustamante. He was talking about how people with like high EQ like generally don't like being around other people, which is true. Like they just, it's rough because it is like, so, like, it's like, oh God, like how do you even navigate, because you can feel a lot of their feelings, right? So I know that there's women that feel this way. I know that women like her are like, I don't know where to turn for help. So I had to really shift my slimy salesman feeling to just yesterday, Thursday actually, after I got off a call with my sales coach that I found through Digital CEO. It was him and this other Australian sounding guy. It's really cool. Who helped me understand, like, between picking, like, casting a broad, wide net to a narrowed, deeper net. So casting a shallow broad net. So in software, it's like depth first search or breadth first search. Well, in my world, in my brain, it's like both at the same time. How do you cast the biggest net, right? So this is an example of a deep, wide, deep, narrowed net. So women that are trying to save their sons, grandsons, granddaughters, daughters, whatever, from criminal charges in El Paso look like this. Okay, so that's the only reason why it's important for me to understand what the lawyer wants as I continue to campaign for finding lawyers that understand like the freaking golden opportunity here, because this is dirt cheap right now. I'm offering it dirt cheap because I'm collecting data points, but trust me, like that's not gonna last. It's because I won't need that as much, and I can always go back to getting a golden handcuffs job, you know, like that's, I guess maybe that's why I'm in a cush position. And I also generate revenue from my real estate, so basically like my life pays for itself, and I'm on unemployment. So in Texas you don't have to report your disability payments because I am disabled from the military and I get rent money. Like I don't have to report any of that as gains, so I still get unemployment. Because yeah, like I was on a contract and they terminated it early for whatever reason, and it wasn't from me not doing what I said I was gonna do. They were just like, well, we just don't feel like we need that right now. And I was like, oh well, does that qualify? It did. So yeah, like I'm doing this because I want to do it. I don't want to build websites because it hurts my wrists, because I hurt them in the Navy. Like it hurts my hands a lot to build websites, and I also don't like to sit through the nitpicky. So that's why I want to own the lead gens as my own digital assets, and then I can do whatever guerrilla style tactics I want to experiment with to try to get them traffic through the door. So then with the automation, we let them know, I see you, I hear you, I know you, I can help you.
Audience, and then with the automation you can get back to them when they reach out to you, and if you do this within the first hour, you already are increasing your chances of turning that into a conversion.
Okay, and a little bit more about this. Like I've been to so many lawyer websites where they think they have that automation set up and it sucks. Right? Like either I don't get emails or I don't get texts, or like they're disjointed, or they just let me know like, hey, we heard you, but then I never hear from them again, or there's no way for me to connect with them. And this is rolling into like a bigger scheme of finding lawyers that are open-minded enough to accept that I have like LLMs that can help them dissect the information, the piles of information that their potential clients are going to give them, right, with a consent from the person that owns the data, which is what I did with my own lawyer for some real estate stuff. And we both agreed that I would upload my own data to my LLM, and then he used my LLM to talk to all my data so that I wouldn't have to sit there and remember all that. So I am a big proponent of this, but that's like in the future. So that is something I'll market for in the future.
By 40 to 60%. So this is an example of me using hyper-targeted marketing to reach out to lawyers in New York and El Paso and doctors in New York and El Paso. You use generative AI to tell the story the way the person looking for you or your services needs to see it, and then you immediately act on their request with automation, and then you follow up with some more AI and automation.
Okay, so that's what hyper-targeted marketing it is, right? This I will get back to because I do have things that I can create, like simple plugins using the Llama endpoints and the Facebook platform for stuff that I'm talking about. I know it's hard to conceptualize. It's not for me, but again, like remember, like I'll never dunk like him no matter how much I pay him to teach me. Right? So just keep that in mind. And remember that I am trying to explain this to you as all these wheels are turning, but they're not. They might be random to you, like since I'm not a clockmaker, right? Like that's what this would look like to me, but to the guy that fixes the clocks or makes the clocks or invents the clocks, like it looks like this, and this still works, right? So at least this is tangible. So the stuff I'm talking about is semi-tangible because it's digital. So let's look at the refined descriptions that are what drives the content creation for each of the hundreds of websites. So right now I'm doing the human in the loop thing. Let's go on to the next one. Right now I have breakpoints. I don't use breakpoint. I like Python debugger for whatever reason because I can step through. I think you can with breakpoints also, but I am stopping after each one of these lines is read in, each one of these hundreds of websites, to make sure that it kind of makes sense. So the domain here is what is chatgpt.online. This is the lead magnet. Yes, it is. What is ChatGPT online? The description that would go on the left-hand side of the website, right? Is it this? Yeah. So this is what we're reading right now, is these descriptions. This gets fixed in a different part of the code. Right now we're just looking specifically at this little piece right here. That is the driving factor that then populates these on a weekly cron job, cron meaning time. So once a week, all of them run and populate a web page. Why that matters is because you can put it into your HTML. I know you can use plugins for this stuff too, but again, like, I'd rather know that it's being done the way I expected it to versus relying on plugins. But I let the crawlers know, like, hey, once a week, come back and check next week because I'll have new stuff. And because it'll be on a cron job, like, they'll on a routine know to scrape my websites. Speaking of, and I think this is important because you might be saying, like, yeah, whatever, you know, all that shit sucks, like, you're stupid, like, there's no proof of that, like, AI content, boo, like, you're gonna get flagged. Let me show you Google Search Console, and then I can show you on Ahrefs. So let me go to Google Search Console. I should have typed it out. Google Search Console. So let's look at maybe charge. So performance, nothing. I haven't pushed anything on here. But if we look at agi.kitchen, right? I have done literally almost nothing. It's gotten like a few views. It got 55 views that day. I don't know what I did that day. And on July 12th, I wonder what I did that day. 185 impressions, right? And see, like, it's like AGA chatbot agents is where I'm coming up. I've done almost nothing, like literally almost nothing with these websites for a long time. Here is like an actual website. I did their keywords one time in December last year. Occasionally have push content that I generated with AI, but that I did in this like very scientific way. And see, like, this looks pretty well. That's because I've done that for the last 3 months. So they say, like, let's look at their last 16 months because I didn't pick them up yet, right? So like, this was post me. So I picked them up right around here. They're paying thousands of dollars for keywords that weren't working, right? And I voluntarily do this for them because I like their product, which is this. So again, please remember, like, I'm trying to show you the wheels of this tattoo. How does it misspell tattoo? Tattoo carts. Tattoo carts. And I don't remember if it's cart or carts. Like the guy that owns that tattoo shop, like, this is his intellectual property. I get money each time somebody buys this, right? So, like, through one of the ways that I'm promoting it. So yeah, I care. Yeah, I get money, like, indirectly. So anyway, like, they're starting to come up, and I set up their blog is like going to blow their competition out of the water because I'm generating their blog posts to include like their competition's name, which is the guerrilla style tactics. They don't know this, like, they don't need to know any of that because I don't want them to get in fights with their, you know, like the other tattoo artists. I'm just kidding, they probably wouldn't. But I just want you to see, like, for very little money, for almost no keywords, they're doing so much better than paying for the thousands of dollars of SEO that was like basically draining their business and they were going to shut down, right? So like, all I can really do is ever so often text them and be like, hey, are you seeing enough business? Yep. Right. And then I haven't worked on my website like at all. On that day in July, also got website. Also, 2 clicks, nice. So then I am getting impressions for AI architects, AI solutions for small businesses, nice. So now I know that, like, I should make sure that my blog posts have this, right? Because that's what I'm starting to come up for. And then if we look at Ahrefs, and my Ahrefs is a mess, and I am probably not gonna go to the higher paid version. I just want to show you, like, look at this health score, right? Domain rating 0. Oh, look, I have a great health score. Okay. I have backlinks and referring domains, but it doesn't really show much, you know? So, like, the health score alone is not impressive. And this one, super high health score, has almost no traffic, no clicks, but I can see in my, because this one's actually I did make with WordPress. So we look at it. So this is shrinko.me. So I made this last summer because I was like, man, I'm going nuts. Like I have nobody to talk to. So I programmed these, right? So this is the exact same interface that I have in all of the websites. That is, oh, you know what? I changed it. Oh God, because I redirected it, I repointed it at my websites. That's why it's looking like this. So I need to make sure that that gets fixed. Because right now I'm just like displaying the directory of all of them. I think actually I can say like home HTML. There. Okay, yeah. But I do need to fix that so that it doesn't like show all my files. But even if it does, it's not a big deal. But see, it's like exactly this interface, which is already automated. So I don't have to like redo that. This interface, pretty much the other thing, right? So all these are iframes that come from the same place. So I don't have to redo any of this each time that somebody goes to any of these hundreds of websites. So this is providing me link juice, topic authority, because they're all talking about AI. So I basically built my own little machine. So yeah, like this website I know is generating me like an email list, because when people sign up for it here, like I am still getting emails that people are signing up for this, and I've rarely promoted this anywhere other than when I go on to other people's. I've tried doing this on YouTube. Actually, YouTube started flagging me recently for like trying to promote this, because I'll spell out shrinko and then the word dot and then me, so I have to find a more clever way of saying it. But I just want to point out this thing, right? So like you can pretend like you're talking to them, but see, like all ways there, and then all way I is there, and then all ways there. Like, I just think I was so clever. I don't know why it's not coming up on the main one, but that's not something I'm going to spend time on. So I'm no longer attached to the websites. I'm not attached to anything, but the money maker is in being able to redo this over and over in any way. By the way, if you do need something to talk to, this does not keep your history open once you click away from there. So it's not like your boyfriend can come by and read all the awful things you said about them. Just kidding. But this session ID is preserved. This URL is preserved. This data is preserved. But it does not have cookies that I put in here. And the questions people ask get saved to an AWS Dynamo database, because I was really curious, like as more AI unrolls and as the loneliness epidemic continues to unroll, like what are people going to start looking for? I was worried a lot of people would commit suicide, because it was really weird being one of the people that like ended up on the chopping blocks because of AI, right? Like that's the honest truth. And because I'm coming from automation, it was already a really rough landscape anyway, because I was in there to get algorithms to replace people's jobs anyway for a living. So then, of course, like my job is to not be needed. Like my job is to replace myself with something that's automated, so you don't need to rely on me. If I die, it still runs in the cloud, so I don't need to have like somebody to hand it off to, right? That's part of my business model. But the code is still like relatively easy to read. I'm building this with the end in mind, like for an exit strategy. Like I do want to sell this. My minimum goal is 10 million. Like I'm hoping it'll sell for more, but if it generates me more than 10 million, like why would I sell it at that point for that much, right? And it's a one person business. I don't need to worry about any of it. So that's with WordPress is like if so I just infused them with different personalities, and I used like a very specific way of prompting it. But we were talking about Ahrefs, so that is what shrinko.me is, but it's getting me more email list subscriptions than any of the other ones. And look, it has like nothing here, right? So like when people are like, oh well, look at my Ahrefs, I'm like, that doesn't give me the full picture. So at one point I do want to create like a what do you call it, a dashboard that displays all this information. Just when look at all these keywords, it doesn't make a difference. Like it's not really getting traffic. It's not generated me many clients at all. I have like so many backlinks here, but it's not really doing anything. This one, agi.kitchen, look at this health score. It's atrocious. But look at its domain rating. It's almost as high as this one that has like a lot of stuff. This one has 440 keywords. And I haven't decided which of my websites is actually going to be the one that I use for competing with like who I consider to be my competitors. I don't know if it still has them here. Yeah, like Morningside, you know, like these are the ones that I consider to be some of my bigger competitors. I think AI Grid was on here. If not, I need to put them on here. But again, like I'm not even competing with them. I'm like Michael Jordan, web stuff, right? Like I'm seeing like, hey, how can I continue to understand this matrix and these matrices and these algorithms even more, and like basically like learn how to be like Pac-Man inside of the algorithms. This one, like I said, see, 28 keywords. I'm not charging him no $3,000 for 5 keywords or whatever. I don't think that's ethical anymore, but I also don't want to go against what a lot of people use to make their living off of. And then I don't know if it kept track of his competitors. I also am like not thrilled about Ahrefs because it only lets you see so many competitors. I mean, it only lets you keep track of so many of these before you have to pay like another $100 a month. And the keywords that I'm finding here, I've not found them to be any better than me using your generic like Harpa and other stuff like that. Oh, and speaking of that, right? When you go to one of my websites, right? Like if you try to use this, see, like you can't use these tools that people typically use. I think you can see them on here. Let me see, just show you what they look like. See, like I guess it's because I have the lighting on that way. Let's see if we can look at a normal website. Let's go to Google. Let's just go to like whatever blogspot. I wonder if they have. Oh, so many pop-ups. It's like that nightmare, right? Oh my God, it's like those nightmare things, like where you're when you're like trying to watch that scary movie where she was like trying to call the cops or somebody or something like that, and then like stuff kept coming up. I don't see any blog posts. Blogs about dogs. Let's see, so if you, I wonder if I have it like. I guess people are getting more clever about that. There's like a way to see which ones are. Oh my God, that's so annoying. See, like my websites will not do that to you. I just think this is just such horse crap. But this one, it'll still do this, so you can still rip off all their SEO that way with Harpa. I'm not going to put a link to all these different tools in the description. Sorry, but I got shit to do. Like, look it up. It's called Harpa. Looks like that little H. It's just called Harpa. See, like Harpa. I don't know. Like, you look it up. I don't even remember how I ran into that. Let's look up Harpa. 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 Like, I thought that this was the people that controlled the weather, but apparently it means something else. So when people tell me like, oh, look at this or look at that, I'm like, that you're not painting the full picture for me. I also don't want to send him a bunch of people that like are not going to get tattoos. I also don't want to send him a bunch of traffic, but then he doesn't see anybody walking through his door, so they get tattoos, right? So like there's so much in the hyper targeted marketing that goes into this. Oh, and that's what I was going to show you, was that when you go to, for example, my page, where is it? Yeah, I think it was this one. No, I lost it. Here it is. So if I use Harpa, right, and I tell it to give me the SEO, it's gonna tell me for whichever one of these iframes I ended up in. But see, oh, I'm not logged in. Oh, I should have been using the free one. That's kind of weird. Well, whatever. Like but basically what I'm saying is like each one. So I added layers of security so that someone can't just come to my website and pick off all of the SEO words that are helping it have like such a good score. And like, again, like these are disjointed experiments, but throughout different pages I've been sprinkling in experiments. So the next step for me is to connect them all and to put them all in a dashboard so it's easier to represent informationally. And this video is almost an hour long. Thanks for hanging in there. Let's go back to finishing what I said I was going to do today, but it does help me make sure that I'm on track with what I'm trying to do, right? So this one looks pretty good to me. I'm happy enough with that one. Let's look at the next one. And it's only breaking because I asked it to, because I'm gonna overlook a few of them, and then I'm gonna put in the 200 websites and run them through this description generator. Ads for lead gen subscriptions. What is digital super intelligence? discover the future of lead generation with AI-driven strategies at whatisdigitalsuperintelligence.online. So like something is not working because I told it don't use the word discover. So if you look at, and yes, this is scratch because I'm testing. See, here's my do not use. I didn't give it sufficiently good instructions. So now instead of like walking through all my code, right, and like trying to solve this myself, I'm gonna tell code cursor. So right now I'm using VS Code with code cursor. I'm dyslexic, so I do use like this color coding isn't just because it's cute, because it is, but it's also because I'm dyslexic, so it helps me read it. My prompts are not effectively discarding the stop words in the do not use list. How do I fix this? Here is an example. So I'm gonna tell it like this is what printed out. And yeah, I can do this. I totally can do this. Like there's no you know, like, but I'm not gonna sit here and do this, and it's getting harder to pass like normies interviews. They're annoying and boring, and it's like, dude, like you're having me recall how to do syntax when I'm trying to think about like building these clocks, you know. That's why I'm so reluctant to go back to the golden handcuffs, because I have to answer to people that don't even know how to like create code that like lets you pull out pieces and run. Like I could easily, instead of using like OpenAI, just like, because right now this one's running with OpenAI, like I'll show you this example, right? I'm using OpenAI, but I could easily have variations of the client. So client OpenAI, client Llama, client Perplexity if I wanted to, client whatever, right? Whatever I want to use. Gemini, and I could have it run all four at the same time. I just changed the code over here where I'm running through the dictionary, right? And then I create an outer loop and say like for each one of these clients produce the blog result, which I might do, but right now I'm still making sure that my code is working. So I want to make sure, like, did I not say to not use these correctly? And I can tell right here that I'm the one that failed to describe my stop words dictionary. Leveraging. Okay, so I didn't tell it like, I think I didn't tell it to not use the words in the list. Do not use. Is there a way to do this more efficiently to improve the prompts, to improve the responses? Because right now I have this like, remember I am breaking dry, but it just got so like hard to like not break dry right now as I'm building like all these different gears. In the future I might change that, but I don't know. And I didn't, let's see, where did I put that? Here it is right here. See, like I said defer to the dict, not like use the dict this way. See, so like it's my own shitty prompt that's giving me back shitty results. So let's let it tell us. Let's see, once I see it in one place, oh, see, and it like writes it out for me. Do not use the following words. There we go. So like now I just take this, right? And then can I put this in a function? Okay, so here, I'll show you that I can do this. Okay, so then where's my stop words list? Okay. So they start. So the blogs start right here. So I'm gonna make a function real quick, so I don't have to write this over and over. Okay. Use stop words like this. And I know that I would drive people nuts if they work with me and they saw me. Oops, I hit return the wrong way. And they saw me like making these super long, unconventional ways of writing this, but I don't care. Okay. So then I'm gonna say like return this. There is a way to do batch processing, which I need to actually like implement. But since I'm writing the code right now and testing, I'm not as worried about that. So then instead of writing it every time, stop word stick. Okay, so then now I can put that here. And then I can go to my prompts. So I'm going to use that, and then defer to, and then I'm going to put the function call in there. For word selection, so this should work better. So now I don't have to type that out every time. Yeah, that looks correct. So it basically just puts this in here each time. So then where do I have stop word sticked here? I don't remember if I picked up the quotes or not. Nope. So I did pick up the F print. Stop word selection. Not use the, I'm gonna make sure that I put that in the function. Parse site name. Oh yeah, see? So like don't use those words, instead use these words and phrases. Okay, so then defer to, and then where's the stop words thing for here? I don't even have it in this one. Maybe that's the one I was on. Okay, so ads for lead gens, and then, so when people tell me like, oh, it's because it doesn't work, it's like, you probably have a shitty prompt that doesn't work. See, like I had a shitty prompt that doesn't work. Okay, so I need to fix where I put that. There's a reason why it came at the end of this one, so I'm gonna remove it from there, make sure that it comes at the end. It might make a difference to put that information at the end. I don't know that, because then maybe it has to like think about it again. I don't really know, like, if as it reads a prompt, if it processes it linearly, right? Like that, I don't know. Or if it processes it like all one mashed up instruction. I think it does process it linearly. So I don't think it matters because it doesn't generate the thing until the end. So am I using a ton of tokens? Yes, I am. But I am testing them first because eventually I'm going to ask it to make a CSV for me. And then I'm going to ask it to batch process CSVs. So this is just like the most bare bones, easier to, what's the word? I guess easier to edit, easier to update code and iterate on. And then when I start doing the batch processing of CSVs, it'll be like dirt cheap. Like, yes, right now running these through GPT 4.0 is expensive, but not like bank breaking, not like paying someone to do this. Okay, so then let's quit this and let's start over. Let's make sure that, oh, and actually I want to make sure that I cleared out the all domains file that I'm saving right here. New domains, where is it? All domains. I don't want it to save the wrong ones. I don't want it to save it more than once because then I have to go back and fix that. So actually I'm gonna quit again and start over again. Just so I can make sure that that part is working. How to tap into the power of AGI? See, like perfect. So affiliate marketing dude was like, you know, like you can take the reader down a journey and answer these top search words. Understand AI with our search generated insights and do it yourself tips to make implementing AI easier than ever. Nice. Yeah, it like answers enough of the question to where the produced targeted blog posts will be like sufficiently good. So then let's make sure that it's saved. It didn't save yet. Oh, I need to let it save, actually. So now it should have saved. Yep, here it is. It didn't save the names in the CSV. I don't know why, but I guess it doesn't matter. No, it's gonna matter. It's gonna matter. I don't know why it does that. Why it doesn't save it as a CSV. Let's just fix that now, because I don't want to have to deal with this later. So let's add this to chat. Why didn't saving this file save the column names? So then let's go back to our code. Scratch. Man, this is already like a really lengthy video, but it's helping me stay focused. Thank you for your patience as I basically am walking you through the incredibly complex landscape that is a female brain. Scratch. Not scratch. No, yeah, it is scratch.py. I keep like losing track of it. I could just find it here. Great. So let's make sure that it saves the column names. It's gonna probably just add a header row. I should have told it like, please don't print out the whole thing. I think that it takes more tokens to print out the whole thing. I need to like find a way to tell it like, don't print out the whole thing. To CSV output file. Okay, so then let's need to add this. We need to make sure that it's including the headers in there. So this is actually like, as I develop this, just so you know, why is it saying output file? I wish it wouldn't. See, like I hate it when it rewrites it like that. It like really bothers me when it rewrites it like that. What do you mean output file? Output file is all domains.csv. Like that bothers me because then I have to like think about stuff I didn't want to think about. File exists. This is where I start to slow down because I am like this looks like this freaking bothers me like how it does that. I can't read that easily. I can't tell if the print is on the top or the bottom. I don't know why it switches him on me like that. Okay. And yes, I realize that I'm saving the file again at the bottom. I am. I like want to make a couple of copies of it. I guess I have to add these two values. I think it probably added them somewhere else in the code. Output file, but that bothers me because then I have to like scroll through a bunch of code and that's hard. That's the only thing I don't like about Pep 8. All domains CSV, like they clearly didn't have like dyslexic people on their team. Why is it all red? Oh, okay. File exists is equal to false. No, wait. What? Oh. They put it up here. Okay, well, I guess that makes sense to put it before the loop. Oh, that's so annoying how they do that. Seriously. Like, this is the shit that slows me down and, like, bothers me when I do interviews. Because it's like, dude, it's not that I don't understand. I just literally, like, can't figure out where in code we're at. And they rarely let me use my own thing. Or if they do, if they do, they're like, take all the AI out of it. I'm like, I'm not gonna redo my whole setup for you. tell me in advance. But yeah, if I don't have the color coding, I bomb them. That's why I need to make sure I make money this way. All right, I think that's supposed to fix it. Did I name the output file? Yeah, I did. Output file. Okay. Okay. So then, all domains, let's clear it. Let's make sure that it actually is writing there. After a few of these, I'll be done with this video. Yeah, like, see, I shouldn't have done this. Learn what AGI is. Did I include that in the stop words? Curious. I'm gonna say learn. I'm not a fan of that first one, so it's better to fail early than to be really deep into it and have it fail in. I'm gonna make sure that it actually did write the headers. Oh, I didn't let it write it. Okay, so then let's try it again. And at some point I have to accept that it's like good enough. Find out what artificial general intelligence is and how to utilize AI search engines for practical info. Master the do-it-yourself strategies to grasp AGI concepts and make informed decisions effortlessly. So for lead magnets, I'm gonna leave that alone because let's see what it does with other ones. Okay, so then did it write it to the, it still didn't write the thing. Okay, well, I have to accept that at some point it's good enough for me to move on, you know, because I still have to push all these with FTP. I have to set up a bunch of stuff and automation to change a lot of stuff. And I have to put all of these into my Google Search Console. What is ChatGPT? There we go. It's working. What is ChatGPT and how can it revolutionize your business? Dive into easy to understand do-it-yourself resources on using AI for efficient and relevant information searches. Nice. Okay. Because I made sure that it's like really giving me topic authority on AI searches. So this is the last piece of, well, this is the next piece of this whole business model is if you have like a link circle, right? Like if you have things that are about the same topics and they each point at each other as separate domains, then you get even more topic authority. And I did look in my communities for people that had topic authority for AGI and AI, and nobody did. So I'm just going to add them to my own machine and make sure that I point them to each other. And then I can add that piece of code to like the URLs or whatever, you know, or like sprinkle it inside the text or whatnot at another point in the automation. So today our goal is just to get all these websites published. Even if it is shitty, like Massive Imperfect Action, but it's not shitty already. So let's go on to the next one. Learn how to use AI-driven strategies to generate qualified leads. Am I reading? Oh yeah, ads for lead gen subscriptions. You know what? It's because I'm printing it out wrong. What is ads for lead gen? Learn how to use AI-driven strategies to generate qualified leads. Yeah, I guess like the fact that it's using how to, like I'm gonna have to accept that, you know. I'm just gonna have to say, all right, whatever. What is generative AI? Oh, I'm silly. It's because I need to read it after it. The description is this. What is generative? It's the way I'm printing it. I didn't put like a return here. What is generative AI and how to utilize it? Oh, there we go. Okay, what is generative AI? That works for me. How do you utilize it for your projects? Get step by step, do it yourself advice. Perfect. It's fine. It is actually listening to my prompts now. Let's see. So notice that it's a lot of the same keywords because I want to be like, I want to dominate all of the majority of the slots that go into like the search responses so that no matter what, it's still one of my digital assets that's represented, right? That so that it has the most likelihood of being represented for all these reasons that I just discussed, like in all these different ways. It's an interconnected web. It's called the web for a reason. And they should just rename it like the matrix web or something, the web matrix. The web matrix algo breaker manipulator. What is generative search engine and what is a generative search engine? Nice. Okay. More do it yourself, and I want these do it yourself tips because this is the kind of people that will go to lead magnets usually, like often, right? Like I'll have the lead magnets that are very specific to I don't want to do this myself, but usually the majority of people will read do it yourself insights, and then the businesses that want someone to do lead gens for them, those are the other type of these that are not lead magnets. So far they are all lead magnets, the ones that we've seen. What is GPT-5 online? Should also be a lead magnet. Nice. What is GPT-5 and how can you use it? Nice. What is perplexity? As far as I know, there's no reason why I shouldn't get to have this domain. What is perplexity? They might flag me, but I'll take it down. Cost me $1.50, so whatever. So it doesn't even have it in the description, which is great. Who is ChatGPT? Yeah, as far as I don't know if I'm not allowed to have their names. I'm just going to go by the advice I got from my senior thesis advisor. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than to beg for permission, or something like that. Who is Perplexity Online? Window fix. Okay. Lead magnet. Yep, lead magnet. How to handle common window repair tasks. So here we're going to sell a shit ton of window stuff, right? And then we're also going to have like local window repair stores or whatever. Or even like if I find someone that wants this information, I can make one specific to El Paso, like how people in El Paso are fixing their windows or whatever as a subdirectory or even as the directory here. How to sell on TikTok using AI. How to master TikTok sales. My understanding is that the AI search engines will understand that this question is anything to do with like how to TikTok stuff. Sell on TikTok. Ads for lead gens. How to use AI to dominate TikTok marketing and boost your professional leads, connecting you with clients, right? See, like here we are, like doing our sales pitchy thing. So I'm gonna end this video here. I hope that this is a better overview of the marketing, the AI marketing that I am talking about. That's like an end-to-end one-person business solution. Thank you for sticking it out. And if you didn't, I'll see you on the other side of wealth. Have a great day. Remember, like, final words is I am helping people find out about this gold mine of an opportunity. I'm not selling anyone anything. If anything, I'm giving this shit away right now. I'm just like letting people know. I'm like sounding the bell, like, hey, gold mine over here. You know, like I am. What is that guy? Jack the not Jack the Ripper. Okay, the other one, Jack and the Beanstalk guy. Like, give me your $50 and I'll make you fame. I won't make you famous. I'm also not Billy. What's his face? Well, sort of, because it is guerrilla style. So what would be my slogan? I know, digital pirate. Okay, so like that is one of the domain names over here, and I am curious, like eventually what it's gonna say. Digital Dobermans, because I do protect your stuff, because I do know post-quantum cryptography. Nobody's coming, by the way, to save you from post-quantum crypto. Right now, we all use the SHA-256. The government's made sure that worked. As far as I know, there has not been a change in the government's willing to advise people and put regulations on top of like what post-quantum crypto should look like. You're on your own, homies, unless you hire somebody like me, but that's a whole other conversation because that shit's like tough. Digital empire, digital mercenary. I've been called a mercenary. I was like, well, why not? Sure. Digital pirates, yeah, because I will go find your gold. I will go find the gold for you and I will like share it with you. Digitalpirates.shop, digitalpirates.media. And everything, I am going to switch everything to digitalpirates.media because everything on the web, like, I feel like there's always this other part of the thing that you might not know. And how do you know what you don't know, right? You don't, unless you ask the AI or someone knows that you probably don't know this and they're kind enough to share it or they're mean enough to share it, so you sit there in anxiety. Just so you know, the web is turning into like a media platform in terms of most things are becoming video or image. And I don't know if you could tell or not, but I'm slowly moving into the image generation. As soon as the video generation is easier, you bet I'm going to execute with localhost. You didn't even see like this code, like it goes online and it clicks on searches for me and it scrapes the information that I need. So this part of the code doesn't have it yet, but I'll show you over here. So in the generate ainews domain details, like I'll show you, see, like over here you can see that on the scrape date, on this date, it went and got me like the most sought words on Google, and it uses that content to write the blog posts. That's why we saw that one about the Olympics in the AI art, right? It does this automatically. Like and it doesn't cost me anything except the electricity to for it to run on my laptop, which is dirt cheap, things considered. All right, okay, now I'm losing my voice. I've said just enough. See you later, homie.